What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and today I have a very interesting series of videos. This is gonna have to be in like 2 or 3 parts, but I put up the two-parter, which was Myron Gaines exposing the corruption of Andrew Tate's arrest. And in one of those videos, somebody left me a comment saying, "Hey, check this out for a different perspective." And the video is actually from a criminal lawyer, and it's titled "Criminal Lawyer Legally Analyzes Andrew Tate's Own Incriminating Words About His Business." Now, this is very interesting because we're going to see things from the perspective of a lawyer. Now, just for transparency, I looked into him, and he is an American lawyer. So he works in a law firm out in Minneapolis. So he's going to give us the perspective of a lawyer here in America. But as we know, Andrew Tate was arrested in Romania, and their laws and system is a little bit different than how we do things here in America. So I was also able to find another video where the Andrew Tate arrest is explained from a Romanian lawyer. His name is Stefan Lorden. So we're going to be looking at that. And then in the final part, it's just an update on his arrest situation, which, for those that don't know, they have now seized his cars. And the reason they seized his cars is because investigating him is costing a lot of money. So they are now seizing his property to pay for that. So they're taking the cars first. It's the most wild thing ever. But we'll do the video first that one of you guys left for me in the comment section. So this is the American criminal lawyer basically breaking down on how Andrew Tate incriminated himself. So let's get into it.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react.
Huh, he was on No Jumper. Interesting.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of...
Before we go any farther, y'all see this? Stop self-snitching. That has to be the funniest hat.
Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. And today we're reacting to some criticism I've received online. A lot of the supporters of Andrew Tate think I'm taking things out of context. But before we get to what we're going to talk about today, this episode is brought to you by... What do you think? eForms.com, perhaps? Absolutely. Form. Let's say you're going into a webcam business with Andrew Tate, and you're worried that he's not going to... Here's the thing. I think I've come off in one of my last videos as not liking Andrew Tate, and people got offended by that, saying that I'm not being objective, and that I'm taking some of his things out of context. Let's just talk about what we're talking about here. I talked to you 5 months ago, and I told you that Andrew Tate is going to be on the police blotter. So I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, guess who we see on the blotter? We see Mr. Tate. I knew he was.
To be fair, Andrew Tate also told us that a couple months ago in interviews. He's like, don't be shocked if you randomly see me get picked up and they're going to arrest me around some point. And then then somebody did a random tweet where they were just like, oh, he definitely about to get picked up at the end of 2022, early 2023, and we watched it happen. Now, with that being said, with you being a lawyer saying that, did you say that, because I never saw that video, but it's like, did you say that because from a legal perspective, you knew he done messed around and said something he wasn't supposed to? Because Andrew's painting it like the Matrix is getting him, but interesting.
And it's not just because I don't like him. It has nothing to do whether I like him or dislike him. This is a legal analysis show, right? I mean, that's the thrust of it. And one of the things I talk about is self-snitching, right? And so one of the things that I was trying to comment on is that there's a treasure trove of stuff that he's put out there to show that he is probably guilty of the crimes that they're talking about. And all the stuff that he's put out there can be used against him, not taken out of context. So what is he charged with? He's charged with sex trafficking. And I would venture to bet that maybe even some tax stuff might come down the pike. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Sex trafficking, there's unless you're dealing with underage, when we don't have any evidence that anybody's underage. But we have 3 things: force, fraud, or coercion. Force, obviously, that's like being in chains and, not being allowed to leave. Fraud, being kept there under false pretenses. If there's an element of fraud in the way that you are enticing somebody or keeping somebody in a particular position to work for you, and if it's in the sex business, that's sex trafficking. Or coercion, threat, of harm or some other way to limit your movement. And so let's kind of look at one of his very first videos that he did. These are his words, not my words. And I'm going to play it, and I'm not going to take it out of context. We'll play this. Let's just make sure I'm not taking things out of context.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a load of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give it all to you.
So you're making sure that you're teaching girls how to make a shit ton of money and give it all to you. Now, this is one of his first instructional videos. A lot of guys, he's got a lot of fans. And a lot of guys think, oh, in order to have some wealth, you have to have a Bugatti, you have to do this, you have to do that. In order to have wealth, you have to have self-pride. You have to know who you are as a person. And where do you get that from? You get that from building, as I've always said. So I do two things. I like to be motivation for younger guys and women for that matter, who are looking at maybe a possible direction in their career. So I like to motivate people in a very positive way. But the other thing I do is I do offer a legal analysis of what's going on here. Right off the bat, he tells you that his main goal is to have them work for him and him get all the money.
Webcam studios everywhere. There's one webcam studio down the road called Studio 20 with 100 rooms. 100 rooms, 8-hour shifts, 3 girls a day. That's 300 girls a day working, and they all work on LiveGasming. So if you're going to go on LiveGasming, you're going to be competing with big-time guys. And what you want to be competing with is people at home in their bedrooms. You don't want to be competing with serious businessmen, because I know for a fact, Studio 20, the owner of Studio 20 and the owner of the website itself, LiveGasming, are friends, and they've got some kind of backhander agreement. So all the Studio 20 girls appear high on the web page. They appear at the top of the page. Obviously, if you're going to go on there, you don't want to scroll down 10 pages to find a girl. You're going to go to the girls in the first row. All his girls appear high up because he's given the guy a backhand. It's all this shady business. It's a huge competition market.
So you can see his main thrust is just making money. And he doesn't give a shit how he does it, really. He's going to tell you in a second here the origin of the story. And he's repeated these same concepts through multiple interviews, right? And so when you say I'm taking things out of context, we've sourced this and sourced this and sourced this, and he's repeated it multiple times. Is something when you hear who he wants to compete. He doesn't want to compete with the main factories. He wants to compete with the girls that are at home. So that gives you an indication that he's going. It's like in nature, I suppose. It's you go after the weakest.
Now, I've told very shortly my story, how I kind of started my whole webcam business. I'll tell it again in detail here. I was fighting. I had some money. I had 70,000 pounds in a safe in my.
One of our viewers had indicated that he's gotten most of his money from fighting. He had 70 grand, 70,000 euros or pounds.
Yeah, that's another thing. I feel like Andrew Tate fans, a lot of them, there's nothing wrong with being a fan, but a lot of them are very misinformed. Because he didn't told this story before. He said he didn't really make money from fighting, because at the end of the day, whatever the small payouts would be, everybody would get paid first before him. He said he had a whole bunch of debts with people he shouldn't have been in debt with. And that's how he got to the cam girl business. He invited all of his girlfriends to his house. None of them knew he had other girlfriends. And he was just like, hey, this is what it is. This is what I want to do to make money. And only 2 stayed and was like, yeah, I'll rock out and work with you. The other girls left because they were just like, oh, so you was cheating on me with all these people. Now you want me to do what? So it's crazy. And then from there, he explains how he got into working the casinos with the higher up people in the Romanian government, stuff like that, right? So it is interesting how a lot of his fans, I feel like they just ride for no reason, and they have no backstory or history of who he is, and it's very weird.
Or whatever he had, and that was it.
Bedroom in my house. I wanted to buy property in Thailand and move to Thailand. I needed 80,000. I was 10 grand short. And I thought I'd go to the casino and make the 10.
That's also telling. I'm going to go to the casino and try to make money when he's not even a gambler. Guys, stay away from the casino. There's a reason that they're so big.
Which was, obviously, we all know how that story went. So I lost 30, so now I need 40. I needed it quickly. So I was sitting there trying to find a way to make money. So how can I make money? And what I did was, I said to Tristan, I'm literally not leaving my room until I have a way for us to make more money. Because I can only fight so many times per year, and I know their income. So I got a pen and paper, and I was on YouTube, like researching, how people make money, what millionaires have, and they kept talking about assets. And I was sitting there thinking, what assets do I have? I'm trying to buy a property. I mean, I didn't own a property in the UK at the time.
Now, think about the word asset. What is an asset? Well, I suppose this hat is an asset. It's not worth much, but it's really the brand is worth a lot more than the hat is. But what is an asset? The office, the building, your brand. Those are assets. Things that you own are assets.
Times they didn't pay me tax to anyone. I didn't want to pay taxes, so I didn't buy a house to for me. So I was like, what?
And keep in mind, keep that tax theme in the back of your head.
What assets do I have? Okay, I have a car, I have this, I have that. And then I realized I had about 5 girlfriends, all smoking hot. And females are an asset. Attractive females are absolutely an asset. And if you disagree with me, walk in the club with 10 blondes, and you'll see who the most important guy in the club is. Champagne shows.
Who the cares who the most important guy in the club is? The most
I mean,
insecure
that
guy
type
in the
of
club.
guy.
It's important to that guy. But it should never be important to you to be the most important guy in the club. What should be important to you is the people around you having their respect, but having their respect not because you're walking in there with 12 blondes.
I've walked in the club with 10 girls.
Yeah, but lawyer man, you seem to think like me in terms of like relationships. 'Cause I like Andrew Tate too, but there are things that I've never agreed with him on well before me ever becoming religious. But it sounds like the lawyer is just like, wouldn't you want respect from X, Y, and Z? Yeah, that should be. But this type of guy, the flashy guy, the dude that wants to be seen around everybody, you want the hot women around you, right? But like I said before in videos, with that lifestyle, like, the type of women you're getting with that. They're only there mostly because you have the money. Now, you may have like 1 or 2 that's like, I really do like you for you and will ride for you. But in Andrew's case, now when you have all these multiple girlfriends, you're sharing. I mean, who really wants to be a part of that? I guess some girls do. I wouldn't. I would prefer just to be in a very monogamous relationship. Like, I'm not sharing you with no one. But
girls, and there's guys next to me doing champagne shows. Is anyone looking at their table or my table? No one gives a fuck about their table. Pussy is the most important driving force of this planet. Pussy is the only reason that empires were started and wars were waged. It's the only reason all you guys are out there are even interested in having money. If there was no pussy out, you wouldn't care about having money. You'd say, I'll have a little bit of money and I'll just play chess all day. I don't care, I'll play video games. The only reason we want cars and clothes and 6-packs and houses and shit are girls.
That is so simplistic.
Girls are the driving force.
most guys.
So when I realized I had all these assets, I had to find a way to monetize the assets.
Now remember, the assets, are something you own. He's got 5 women that he believes are his assets. Now he's going to make money off them.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is a completely... In fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same.
So, now I'm not taking things out of context. He's saying the psychological aspect of what he's going to be doing is the exact same psychological aspect of street pimping, and that is control.
Of what we're...
Yeah, okay, so... That's crazy, because if the lawyer is reading it like this, if this is how they do it in Romania, he would get cooked. But pimping, I guess I'm going to say pimping, I'm not going to say street pimping, but there's 2 ways to go about it. First off, both ways, yes, control. You have to show this girl you're the head guy in charge, they bring all the money to you. In exchange for that, you are the protection, right? So whenever they go get your money, however they going to get it, if things go left, you got to be there to make that person pay and show them it's not a game, right? Where we veer off into the 2 directions of street pimping, you have the guys that have their girls and they treat them like complete crap. Those girls will sleep on the floor in raggedy confines. You might get like something nice to wear, if just to go back out there to do what you have to do. For the most part, you're living grimy and grungy. So like human trafficking, essentially. That's what that is. The second path, you're going to have the guy that's just like, he understands what his assets are and he's going to keep them well-fed, well-clothed, living luxury, to where they're just like, yeah, I don't really mind doing this. This is pretty cool. And then, but he went into the cam business. He didn't really go into to street pimping, right? For the cam business, because it is like a business, you think, and somebody else mentioned this in the Myron Gaines videos I did about Andrew Tate. You would think you run it like a business. They would have to sign that contract, and you would have to pay them, because he has said in other interviews where he does pay his girls. Now, I don't know if we're going to reference that in this video, but if they only take this and they use that in Romania, maybe, I don't know the laws in Romania, but if it was America, they definitely would try to get him.
The skill I'm going to teach you is exactly the same. I could easily translate mine to a street business, and you could easily street pimp with the things I'm going to teach you. But I didn't want no one else to f*** a girl. That's the truth. My girls. I want to f*** girls. I want some other guy f*** girls. The f*** point in that. So, long story short, blah, 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 discovered webcam, and went from there. Flew all 5 girls in at once, sat them all down, so I've been going out with all of you. Here's the truth. Starting a business, you want to make money or not. 2 decided to stay. 3 started crying, got back on the plane, because they're all different places in the world. I had them from when I was fighting. So I went and fought in Slovakia, got a girlfriend. Went and fought in France, got a girlfriend. Went and fought. So I had all the girls around the world. So I told them all to fly in, sat them all down together. Like, who the f*** are all these other girls? I was like, okay, truth time. Bang.
All these other girls probably think they're exclusive before they come to him, right? And now all of a sudden he lays the truth down on them. What is that's deception from the very beginning.
Yeah, he's a playboy.
I'm a G.
That's all that was.
I'm a G.
I'm going to start a business. You're all going to live here with me. 3 got back on the plane. 2 decided to stay. 2 weeks later, 1 left. And so I was left with 1. But starting with 1 is good. But those 2 weeks, together a few times.
The G, as he calls himself, started with 5. Now he's down to 1. How much respect would you have for the 1 girl that's still standing there? The 4 girls, thank God that they had the sense. But really, who is the bigger man? Is the bigger man that's the poser who walks into a club with 12 girls? Or is the bigger man who is the honorable guy, who stands by his family, raises a family, has a decent job, goes to work every day, is solid? I'd rather go to a pub than a club any day.
Look, lawyer man, I agree with you. We are on the same wavelength, okay? Like, I respect guys that are honest, loyal, put their family first, and do everything they're supposed to do, and they're not out here embarrassing their family and their wife. Like, I agree with you, my man. I'm not with the club life and stuff. And it was before that. It was like that before I was Christian. But we're talking about, and Andrew Tate's not the only guy that thinks like this. We're talking about dudes that just want to be players. Like, you want to be seen a certain way. You want to have a lot of money. You want to live a fast lifestyle and have fun and like sleep with all these hot women while driving fast cars and being on yachts. Like, it's the opposite sides of the fence, you know. You like this side, which is the side I like, and Andrew Tate was on the complete other. Should he go to jail for doing that, though? No. Like, unless there was some real human trafficking going on. So far, no, you shouldn't be going to jail for any of that. Like, I don't think it's right to be a player, but that's life.
You are that guy, not the G, but when you are a solid guy where you're there for your family, you're not trying to manipulate anybody, and you're a provider for your family, and you are a solid, straight guy, that's the G. That's the person who's the real man.
Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money and give you the money.
Your goal is to rip her off. That's really what he's telling you. Those are his words. I'm not taking anything out of context. We're not chopping this up. This is his little seminar that he was pitching to all these guys out there who think he's got something to offer.
So the way you're going to do that is...
What is this from? Is this from the War Room? Because I've never seen this video before. Now, I've heard him talk about all this, but when he said this is what he's pitching to all these guys, is this literally a video from the War Room? Because you got to pay to get in there. Because if it is, that means somebody snitched him out from the War Room.
You have to have some element of influence. And you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you.
Now, that is a critical thing. You know, the old pimps, what they would do is they'd find some young girl at the bus station. This is an old school kind of thing, or at the mall or whatever. And they shower them with gifts, and then they think they're the best, and and these are chicks that don't have any self-esteem whatsoever. And then they start working for them, and then but it's a slow process. But it's a slow process of mind control and physical control, control with money, control with emotions, and actual physical control.
And this is extremely important because at the beginning she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
Fallacy, that's his word. His word. Not taking this out of context. So she'll need you at first, but then she won't. But you have to keep her convinced that she does need you. That's how you control. That's the control part. And it is a fallacy. And what is fallacy? Fraud.
She can't do this without you, to ensure that she doesn't do it without you. So this is what screen share is all about. Effectively, this is the way the business works. The girl sits on the camera. Now, when the girl is on camera, and you would have seen from my promotional video, that was at the height of my webcam empire. The blonde in that video I'm still with now. You'll see from there how we explain that there's people typing or pretending to be the girl 24 hours a day. So it hasn't got to be 24.
That part, I suppose, is fine in terms of a business model. But it's fraud. I mean, he's the one typing, and so you think you're getting all excited by something she's saying, and here you're really communicating with Andrew Tate.
But
well, sir, hold on. Like that's how every cam business is. That's how OnlyFans is. We watched a video, one of the earliest videos I had on here. I reacted to a video from Jordan Welch where he talked to the king of OnlyFans, and that's all that guy does. He calls it a modeling agency. But all it is he gets all these girls to come down he lives in this like nice apartment in Miami. He films them out by the pool or whatever to get their photos. And then that was just a test day. Now, I don't know if they do anything else outside of that because it's OnlyFans. But just to get pictures and content, they was filming a lot of stuff by the pool that was in his apartment complex. They went right back upstairs. He was uploading stuff and he was responding back to the messages. Like, these guys weren't talking to women. But I thought that was common knowledge because when they showed that in the video, I knew men were behind the compare. How was a girl, think about this. A girl all on camera, she half naked, and she's just like, and she's like laying back and showing herself. Her hands are in front of you. Like, they're not on a keyboard. So when you typing in, they're like, dang, baby, you look so fine. I want you so bad right now. And something comes back like, ooh, I want you so bad too, daddy. How is she typing that to you if her hands are right here, feeling all on her body, looking sexy in front of the camera, and she ain't even talking to you through the camera? Who do you think was typing that? Come on. They're not the only. So what about the porn sites that do that? Because the same thing, once a porn star's name gets big enough, you don't really need these porn sites anymore. You create your own website and do whatever you want to do. This is the same thing. It's the porn industry. I don't agree with the porn industry, but like, come on now. You can't look at Andrew Tate and be like, he got these girls doing this. It's fraud. They're all fraud, bro. Come on now.
that method is very important for two reasons. First, let me explain how it works. Listen up, motherfuckers. So, the girl's on the webcam. She's sitting here. When a girl is on camera, she has a public room, which people will visit, and they will spend money in and talk shit.
And when you think about it,
Yeah.
the people that he's appealing to on these webcams are just a bunch of really lonely guys, and there's a ton of them out there.
It is your job to train the girl to talk to and interact with that public room as much as possible. So when people come in the room and say, oh, hey, how are you? She's like, they type. The men type, hey, how are you? It comes in the box. She goes, oh, hey, I'm fine, thank you. And she has to make sure her public room is engaging and interesting as much as possible to keep people in the room. Now, while the
So there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with what he's actually doing. It's the nature of how he's getting the girls there and keeping them there.
she can also receive private messages.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me it's the nature of how he's getting them there and keeping them there. Because those women had full range to come and go as they pleased at his house. That has been talked about numerous times. None of these girls were held behind, like, against their will. These are grown women that decided they wanted to be there. He even told a story on another podcast where one woman bounced at one point in time. She was making so much money. She was like, yo, I don't even really need to be here anymore. He was like, oh, word, after everything I did for you? She was like, yeah. He was like, okay, make it on your own then. And she bounced. And he let her bounce. Like, he didn't hold her. He was like, oh, you think you leaving? And grabbed her up by her neck and was like, nah, you staying. You staying. I'll get back in that room and get in front of that camera and just threw her in a... You know what I'm saying? That never happened. Bro, these are grown women. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Like, and they have free roam to do whatever they wanted at his house.
And all those private messages, you are going to reply to. And you're going to reply to them via screen share on a computer in a different room. As long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you're having more conversations with men than a girl could ever have on her own. Because she's too busy on her own. She's overwhelmed. She can't talk to all these people. So some guys you have to negotiate with, some guys you have to do a deal with, some guys whatever. You can do all that shit. But even more importantly, it makes the girl believe that she can't do it without you.
That's a recurring thing, that she can't do it without you. She is reliant on you. She needs you. And why is that important? Because if she thinks she can do it on her own, guess what? She does it on her own, and you've lost your profit center. That's what he's talking about. That's why the control is such an important aspect of what he does.
In the beginning, she can, but there'll become a point she can't. But you being here, it synergizes this teamwork energy. We're going to do this together. Yeah, you go on the camera. Don't worry, I'll talk to the guys. I'm going to talk to them. We're a team. Happy, positive teamwork. There's no negative energy in this business. You have to be positive. So by you typing for the girl, you maximize your money, and also she believes she needs you, which is extremely important. Later on down the line, I got to the point where I'd hired typers. So I didn't have to type. So I'd hired girls to sit and type and pretend to be the girls. So I had girls online. I had an office full of girls pretending to type. So I had 4 typers, 20 girls online, for example. Another reason we use Chatterbait is because they will pay you in Bitcoin.
This is another critical part of what he does, and that may impact a criminal prosecution of him later. And if you recall at the beginning of this video, he talked about not wanting to own property because he didn't want to pay taxes. And him not paying taxes is a recurring theme. And so if he's avoiding taxes, you can't avoid taxes with Bitcoin. I mean, you still owe the money. If you're making money, it's income, you have income taxes. Just because you're paid in Bitcoin doesn't mean that you don't owe the taxes. So let's continue.
They'll pay you in Bitcoin.
Real quick, so the whole taxing, yeah, you can't avoid taxes. Like, at some point, you're going to have to pay. But if that's what they're going to get him on, they're making this about human trafficking. If it was about taxes and tax evasion, then make it about that. Like, don't come out here and be like, oh, no, you a human trafficker. No, this isn't human trafficking, okay?
You put in your Bitcoin address, and they'll pay you in Bitcoin. And this is amazing because you've all seen the thought audit that's going on. You've all seen the legalities of banking. Trying to get money out of these sites into your bank without paying a tax is actually very difficult.
See, it's that whole avoiding taxes. And it's not legal to do that. It's not legal to not pay your taxes.
And that was going to be about an hour segment of this thing. But we don't need to do that anymore because in the last 6 months, Chatterbait have released a Bitcoin option. So they'll pay you in Bitcoin. So if your girl on there working, let's say you generate $3,000, $4,000, bang, you get Bitcoin into your wallet. Done. No tax, no thought audit, none of that. And I had a separate phone with all my girls' guys in that phone, and I kept control of it. And I would speak to them, and before she went online, I would tell her like any basic information. You don't let your girl have this, because if your girl ever runs off and leaves you, which is going to happen to some of you at least, you don't want her to have an address book of all the guys she can get money from.
Another aspect of control. You don't want her to have your client list, because if she has your client list, she can leave you. So you've got to restrict her information. So it's systematic.
Bro, it's a business. Like, yeah. This is crazy because you work for a law firm. So if you was to ever think about becoming partner or whatever, and you had some clients or whatever, and say you and the partners get the beef, and you be like, I'm out of here. You gonna want to take clients with you, and they gonna try their best to hit the clients up on their own and be like, hey, I know he leaving, but you know he can't. We could treat you better over here. It's the same thing, bro. They not gonna want to lose the client. That's the money. It's a business. That's the same thing for your business. All right, well.
And it's a systematic method of control to control these women. Now, these are not my words. These are his words and his words alone.
You want her to leave and go, well, I don't know the account. I don't have the password to the account. I've never set it up before. I don't know how the banking works. I don't have any of my guys' phone numbers. I have nothing. And that's why they don't want to leave. Because they're like, oh, well, he has everything. I need him. I have to stay with him. He has everything. It's important. I'm telling you, it's a very important element, that control.
It's a very important element, that control.
The girls will be like, well, what the f*** do you need this dude for? And they will leave if you don't have every aspect under control. Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman.
Now, tax is the messed up part, because, like, bro, you got to pay your taxes. And if he's teaching people how to evade taxes publicly, then that's not good. So it's like, whenever you start a business, you have to pay your taxes. Because promise me, the one person you want to mess with is the IRS. Well, I don't know what it is in Romania, but here in America, you don't want to mess with the IRS.
You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody.
That's not legal advice, by the way.
You need to tell your girl that you're paying the tax. Because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work. So the girl's working with you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we've made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure we don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay. Now that allows you to do two things. One, it's another control element.
See how that control is a recurring theme over and over and over again?
If I work with him, my tax is not a problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. It's a control element.
And he doesn't have respect for these women at all because he thinks they're so...
Duh, that's why they work in the cam business. This is... Bro, do you think the women in the porn industry, you think those guys respect them either? They don't. This is the sex business, all right? There's no respect in any areas of this. It's all dirty and gross. Sir, come on. Also, like I said, he's an American lawyer. I thought he was going to go over this and be like, so you see how he's saying this, according to Romanian law, they can press him for this or that. It sounds like he's really just giving his own opinion on what he thinks is gross and not gross and what would happen here in America with certain things. But he didn't get busted in America. He ran all of this overseas. I want to hear this from the perspective of like somebody that's overseas and is like, even though he was doing X, Y, and Z, these are the laws and this is what's going to happen and this is how they're going to prosecute him. See, this is why I found the other video. Because once I found out this was an American lawyer, I was like, nah, I need to hear from a Romanian lawyer.
It allows you to pay her a smaller percentage. So I used to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 they made, I'd give them 3, and I'd keep 7. They thought they were on 50%. And I said that the disparity is because of taxes. So you're on 50%, but we had to pay the tax first, and then it's 50-50. If they say, why is it 50-50? Because I'm the one on camera. You say, because I'm the one typing, I'm the one with the property you're working in, I'm the one paying the bills, the electricity, I'm the one who's, and the electricity and every other maintenance cost of the property, I'm the one who bought the equipment, I'm the one who knows what he's doing, I'm the one with the knowledge, I'm the da-da-da-da-da-da. Shut the f*** up, go online. And they should be pretty happy with that if they respect you as a person overall. So really you're paying 30, you tell them you're paying 50, the difference is in the tax. That's where the disparity lies, taxes. If they don't believe you or they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax forms. I used to do this all the time. I used to print out some random tax forms and say, yeah, sign here and sign this. What is it? It's for the tax. You want to pay the tax or not? Oh, okay. And they just sign away. They don't know what the f*** signing. I just throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real's happening. Nothing's happening besides me getting rich.
Nothing's happening except for me getting rich. That's what he just said. So he's taking another 20% of what would have been their earnings, saying he's paying taxes, but he's not paying taxes. His words. Having them even sign a dummy tax form that is just to try to convince her even more that he's paying some taxes, which is just ridiculous. And so, what is the middle word? Fraud. That's fraud. Force, fraud, or coercion.
Anyway, so tax is another important element.
Yeah, but these women are stupid. Like, a woman with self-respect would have never been doing this to begin with. But then again, like, we would have got, like, women like that, we would have got 9 to 5s. And you know how to read your tax documents and all that with your 9 to 5. Like, to jump straight into this and then you talking about taxes way after the fact, They the bird brains. Like,
To keep control of the girl. You have to find girls. You cannot do a business relationship with a female. I'll tell you why. Women have sex with somebody. If they're not you, they're fucking somebody else. Now, a woman's always going to be the most loyal to the guy she's as opposed to anyone else for any other reason. If you have a girl work for you and you say, look, we're going to be business partners, we're going to make money, here's your cut, here's my cut, we're going to work together, blah, 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 blah. Here's the I've had dudes, I've known loads of guys who've like tried to do a contract with a girl, tried to sit there and talk common sense to a girl. When's the last time talking common sense to a girl has ever worked? Ever. If you're not a girl, she is someone else. And that other person she's is going to have the control over her mind.
Again, control. Control her through money, control her through information, control her through manipulation, control her through sex.
As opposed to you. And if he controls her mind and you don't control her mind, once she starts to pick it up a bit after a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and realizes how to make money on her own, is she going to stay and keep paying you, or is she going to run off and pay her boyfriend, or them two are going to go traveling in Southeast Asia and she's going to work as she goes, or she's going to go to her boyfriend and say, look, f*** it, you type for me. What you actually turn these things into is Bitcoin. So effectively, what a webcam company doing it.
that was a weird jump. We went from him talking about the you wanna F her over somebody else. That's why he calls all these women his girlfriends. But in the same breath, I'm pretty sure they wanted to be there from jump. I don't think he ever just strong-armed somebody and was like, you gonna work for me. Now, I know, like he said, he was like, he's using his mind and all this other stuff to control them. These are grown women, bro. I don't feel sorry for when adults get caught up in cults and all this other stuff. You are an adult. You should know better. We talked about this, I guess I didn't say it out like that. But I did a video where they exposed a cult. It's a church, but it's a cult. They call themselves a church, it's a cult. And it's like a town of people go there. I don't feel bad for that town of people. They're all brainwashed and crazy. Like, they adults, they should know better. Is mining Bitcoin.
But instead of mining Bitcoin the traditional way with huge electricity expenses and massively expensive equipment and space and cooling and all that bullshit, you mine Bitcoin with some protein.
You mine Bitcoin with protein. That's what he just said. Did I take that out of context? I don't think I did. My whole point in bringing this up is not to bash Andrew Tate, although I'm not a fan, and I don't care to even pretend that I'm a fan. But it's an interesting case. It's an interesting case because it has international intrigue, but you also have, from his own words, the control aspect. How important it is to control these women. I think the government, with this video, with just this one video alone, has an excellent foundation for the sex trafficking charge. But more than that, they also have probably a tax beef that they could levy against him once they start diving into his books.
Now, the tax beef, yes, I agree with that. The sex trafficking part, bro, I don't know. You kind of reaching. You're trying to say it's control and all this. So how does the Bunny Ranch work out in Vegas or on the outskirts of Vegas, wherever it is out there? So how does that work? It's the same setup, except these women, instead of they're effing random strangers instead of doing a webcam. So how does that work? And also, when you shoot porn videos out in the Pornhub offices and stuff out in LA, what is the difference when them girls come out there? Because you call yourself a legit business, he called himself a legit business. We know the type of women that are drawn and go work in places like that, bro. They're grown women. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Analyzing this, I really don't want you to think I'm taking anything out of context, because I'm not. But let's see, in his own words, how he's recruited, lured, or retained these girls.
Then you start saying things like, oh yeah, but you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling's a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So you'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. You're bought and baby, a new girl. You go out for a night nice dinner. Your bottom is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from the girl.
That's pimp lingo for those that don't know the bottom B.
And this is where your bottom has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Remember Ghislaine Maxwell? That was the girl that recruited for Jeffrey Epstein. Almost identical to what he's talking about here. When you put all...
Okay, so hold on. Wait a minute. You just brought up Jeffrey Epstein. My man had a whole sex trafficking island, though, and they refused to release his client list. You're telling me you're about to place Andrew Tate, who had a webcam business with the likes of a Weinstein? No, stop it. They refused to put that list out, but they trying to find all these girls that Andrew did. Because Andrew's super evil, right? Come on now. Bruh.
Into context, you have the way he structured his business. One of the ways that he's lured...
Yeah, like a pimp. It's the sex industry, bro. There's nothing good and moral about setting up a sex business and structuring it and running it correctly. It's all bad. It is all bad.
Were the girls by having another girl there, identical to what Epstein was doing. Now,
nah, bro, Epstein was way worse.
This is a danger when you have so much stuff.
Epstein had children and teenagers on his island. Get out of here, my guy. Andrew Tate has grown women that electively decided to be there on their own.
That's out there. That's reckless, right? No. Let's see what he has to say about the Romanian court system and their jails.
The Romanian court. Oh no, not a court in Romania. They're corruption free, as we all know. Put me in jail. I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this.
I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this. Did he walk in there with a pile of money?
Boom. This cell's mine. I'm ready. Put me in jail. I don't give a fuck. You think they're court case? Shove it up the mouth.
He's now in a jail in Romania. He is now going to be subject to the courts in Romania. He just, on this video, I'm sure the prosecutors have this because I have it. If I have it, they have it. Flouting, taunting, showing complete and utter disregard for the Romanian court system, which he's now going to be facing. Now, if you recall
I would say that's a stupid video to make public, though. Even if you know that's how it works and how you gonna rock. Because let's be honest, the judicial system everywhere seems to have some sort of level of corruption from what we could see. What happened when they had like Chapo or somebody, when he was in prison? His prison was nice. It looked good. What about the rich people here in America when they go, the ones that got the good money, like the big money, right? And you ever get a chance to see like where they were actually placed or the cells they were in, they was living nice, bro. It wouldn't even phase. Like, would you really be shocked if you found out after the fact if Andrew Tate went to jail? Say he goes to jail and he in there for like a decade or however long they trying to put him in there, and then he come back out years later and tells his story, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, it was cool. It was like a mini little penthouse apartment. I used to have this or that." I wouldn't be shocked, for real. Like, people with money are gonna have a better jail experience than the average person like me and you. No, if we go to jail, it's gonna be horrible, right?
Statement from his own lawyer said Mr. Tate has nothing but the utmost respect for the court system.
He's supposed to say that. That's his lawyer.
So what I'm trying to get at here is the case for them to be made. And granted, women may come here by their own will or come to Romania and work for him, but there are statements from women saying they wanted to leave. They were controlled. He controlled their passports. He controlled every part of their movement, because if they can come and go as they please, he doesn't have a continuous source of revenue. He doesn't have money coming in, and that's his only goal. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. So you tell me where I've taken things out of context. I haven't taken one thing out of context.
Has there been women that actually came forward to the media? Because I actually saw something earlier today where they said all these women that claimed they couldn't come and leave. Basically what he just said, right? But yet they now refuse to come forward now that he's detained in jail, and the media can't get names and they can't get evidence. The police can't get names and can't get evidence. But it's like, I thought you had all these women though. Now I read that this morning. So, but I also do not live in Romania. So whatever is being fed out to the who knows, right? But that's not what it sounds like from what he said.
This is what he's charged with. These are his own words. And every ounce of this will be used in a court of law. It absolutely will. And so when you're looking at rape charges, sex trafficking charges, and I would venture to guess some tax counts, he's looking at some very, very serious charges. And if there's anything that ties him to the U.S. on this, he could be facing prosecution in the United States as well. This is just an honest assessment of this case. And do I like Andrew Tate? No, but who cares if I like him or don't like him? And I think it would be wrong for me to take things out of context and do a character assassination piece on him, but which isn't what we're doing. But I do think anybody that relies on him for a role model is misguided. He's not an honorable guy. He doesn't show respect to women. He doesn't show respect to anybody that doesn't have a Bugatti. What color is your Bugatti? What color is your Bugatti? Oh, my Bugatti. Bullshit. You don't need a Bugatti to be respected. And I would never own a Bugatti. And I'm not saying anything against them. They're kind of cool cars. But what does it cost for a brake job? I mean, it's like $25,000 or something outrageous amount.
I'm about to say, I know you're a lawyer, but could you even afford one? It's not to say you never want one. It's like, but could you afford one though? Do you have money like that? Because when I mean money like that, like, yeah, not only do you have to buy it, but you have to also afford maintenance and insurance continually on it.
Amount of money. No, the average guy can't do that anyway. I'm more average than I am. Than I am like Tate. And absolutely. But I like what I do.
Which is
I
fine.
like being
Nothing's
a
wrong
criminal
with
defense
that.
lawyer. I love being a father. I love being a role model for everybody around me. I love supporting all of my employees and being there for people. I love hearing stories from you guys saying, hey, you inspired me to go to law school. I love that.
That's what's up.
And so when you look for a role model, look in another direction. This guy's going down, and I don't mean that, but the case is, he's making the case for them with his own words. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer React.
All right, so that was sent to me by one of you guys. I don't remember the commenter's name. I apologize. But thank you for sending me that. That was a nice little perspective from somebody else. But like I said earlier, my whole thing is a lot of things he was looking at is from an American lawyer perspective. What are the Romanian laws? How do they handle taxes over there? Tax might be a big thing regardless, because I know tax in any country, you don't want to play with that. So if they're going to get him on something, for sure they're more than likely going to get him on taxes. The whole sex trafficking thing, though, that still seems kind of iffy. Even here in America, that seemed kind of iffy. What you were trying to explain, but we gonna call it here. I know this is longer than usual how I do my videos, but like I said, we were gonna break this down into like 2 or 3 parts. So we're gonna end it right here. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, right? Like this guy, like I am a fan of Andrew Tate, but I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate says and does. It's just like, especially his views on relationships. I wholeheartedly don't agree with that. Seems like me and the lawyer are on the same wavelength on how you should move as a person and what you should do in a relationship. But hey, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never stop dropping a video, and I will see you next time for part 2, because you already know who it is. It's Sam.